Mayor White,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, Councilmember Ortiz,
Here.
Councilmember Moreno Mares,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
We'll move to item C, this excuse council member absences. This agenda item allows councils. Excuse, we don't have to do that.
Yep. No.
Very good. Move to invocation after leave. Inez Lugo. Here. Oh, there you are.
I need translation.
She's coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Pues gracias a Dios por este día y por su amor, su sabiduría que viene a nosotros.
Thank God for this day and for your love and for the wisdom that comes from you.
Agradecemos la vida de cada una de las personas que están en este salón.
We appreciate the life of every single person that's in this
Salón. Room.
in this room.
Y pedimos tu sabiduría para esta noche,
We ask for your wisdom for tonight,
para todos los negocios que la ciudad tiene.
for all the businesses that the city has.
Te pedimos por el departamento de policía,
We ask you for the police department,
el de bomberos,
firefighters,
por todas las agencias que ayudan aquí en Greenfield
all the agencies that help here in Greenfield
y que se están desarrollando
and that are developing
para el bienestar de la ciudad.
for the wellness of the city.
Así es que agradecemos tu presencia
So we appreciate your presence
en este lugar.
in this place.
En el nombre de Jesús.
In Jesus' name,
Amén.
amen.
All right, will you all please stand for the pledge? Ready? Salute.
The United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda review.
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
Paul, do we want to,
Oh, N1, I'm sorry.
do you
I'd
want to
like to
take off
pull-
the closed session?
Yes,
Okay.
pull N1, thank you.
Thank you. Public comments from the audience regarding items not on the agenda. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the council on any items not on the closed session, consent calendar, public hearings, and city council business. Under state regulation, no action can be taken on non-agenda items, including issues raised under this agenda item. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the council regarding items not specifically referenced on this agenda. Do we have any public comments tonight?
Hi, my name is Judith Alcazar, and I would like to get your attention on the city utilities on the tariffs. Seems to me like they've been a little bit too high, at least for me, for the last maybe 3 months, and then last year a couple of times. They've been double and triple. And I thought the agreement of the city was gonna be just so much for the sewage, but it doesn't seem like it's $34. For me, it's been $100. For 2 properties, I paid $1,500 yesterday. So I want to get it to your attention because they keep telling me that they're gonna go check my meter and they haven't. And I even put a lock since last summer and behind my beauty salon, so nobody can steal my water. And I don't know why my water is being this high, so I've been talking to, to the city hall, but nobody seems to do anything. So I want you guys to please help me because it's really a big burden for me to pay this, for my family. So I don't know what it can be done. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Hello, I'm Lourdes Villarreal. At the last meeting, I shared my concern for the safety of dog owners and people who don't have dogs when dogs are not on a leash. I noticed that 2 green signs have been installed in my neighborhood park showing that dogs need to be on a leash. I hope this will help, so thank you for that. However, once again, I'd like to request that an informational item regarding the licensing and vaccination of pets be placed on your agenda. I would like now to share that I've had very numerous negative encounters with young males walking their big dogs. I've been harassed and followed. The worst experience was when a male began to follow me and my Chihuahua. He was walking a big dog. As he got closer and closer, I asked him to please stop following me. My dog was getting agitated and I was getting nervous. He didn't stop. Instead, he got closer. I was scared at that point. I had to take refuge in one of my neighbor's houses that I knew because I didn't want the man to know where I lived and I didn't think I was going to make it home. The man was angry and told my neighbor to shut the bitch up, he said numerous times. Finally, my neighbor calmed him down and the man and his dog went away. I will never forget what my neighbor told me that day. He said, "Don't report it. He'll find out where you live." I think my neighbor was just as scared as I was. And so I didn't. To this day, I feel embarrassed and actually ashamed that I didn't report it. That man took away my peace and I've never walked around my neighborhood ever since then. I knew that when my neighbor said don't report it and he looked scared too, the police wasn't going to be able to protect me. The man looked like he was on drugs or something like that because nothing could justify the anger that he was exhibiting. So there's more than one way that you cannot be safe with dogs because of the way they're used. And I see more what look like aggressive dogs around. And sometimes young males they think it's funny or whatever to follow and get little animals agitated and then make us nervous and unsafe. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll move to comments from City Council.
I just want to congratulate Tiffany Twisselman for being our new CPO. I'm glad she's here with us and doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. You weren't ready?
It's my turn this time. Good afternoon. Couple of things first. I've been having a lot of problems with my internet on Parkside Court. And in talking, I've had technicians out twice a week, probably for the last 7 months. They keep telling me that it's our problem under the streets, that they'd have to dig up streets to be able to fix this. I asked them if I'm the only person that's having these problems. They said no, that it's all over the old side of town. So the last recommendation they gave me was to go to Starlink. I'm waiting for my Starlink to come in. Yeah, so AT&T does not work on that side of town. It'll turn off and on all day long. I'm self-employed, and so I'm working from home 85% of the time. I can't work. I have to go to somebody else's house to use the internet. This is a big problem, especially for people who can't get out and about, you know, and don't have an alternative place to go to be able to use internet. I'm not quite sure what we can do other than digging up streets, but this is a big concern for those of us that live on the other side of town. Well, actually, in probably mostly all the old sections of town, but they're having a lot of problems with that. Secondly, I'm going to complain today, okay? Just putting it out there right now. So anyway, there's a car parked on my street. I watch what happens with code enforcement. I'm always watching code enforcement. So the car was tagged, not quite sure what day it was, but I know it's been over a week. I have the ticket number that's on there. I took a picture of the ticket to see what the violation is. There's nothing marked at all. None of the little boxes are checked. They're all blank. Not quite sure what the car's doing. This is the second time the same car's been there that we've had issues with it. We have limited parking anyways when everybody gets home from work, and so having these vehicles that don't get moved is a big problem. And I'm not quite sure why it hasn't been addressed if it's been over a week already. So if we can get code enforcement to go back out there and figure out what's going on and why nothing's been done. Okay. I had talked to Paul about the park. I had gotten a few complaints about Patriot Park. There was a big event out there, and I understand that they had permission to be out there. That's perfectly fine. And that staff was there. But my concern is there was cars driving on the lawn. We pay our people to go out there and take care of the lawn. And yet, why would staff, if they were out there, allow a car to drive across the lawn? So defeating the purpose. So, just one thing. Secondly, we had a lot of time to think, can you tell? Anyway. Also, I'm wanting to know what's going on. We jumped through hoops for the Bayer building. Many times it was brought to Planning Commission. It's been brought here. We've had our other business owners that were really upset about the Bayer building and it getting approval, and nothing happened to it. It still sits there in the same condition. The more windows are knocked out. It's a big eyesore. The same thing goes for a lot on 12th Street, right in the middle from where the library, what's that side street on the library? I don't know, which, all the way down
Palm.
to stop. Pine?
Paul.
Palm Street, Palm and 12th. There's a lot there that when it was brought to planning city council, it was supposed to be a mini mansion. Nothing happened. I think that was 2 years now. And nothing's happened there either. So I'd like to get an update on these things. And lastly, I told the council a couple of weeks ago that I was going to be attending the National Crime Victims Week at CTF in Soledad. I did that on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday of last week. On Tuesday, when I got home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I went to bed because it was a very emotional day. The speakers that they had there, I don't know, so probably some of you have seen the movie, The Girl in the Box. It was about a woman who was held captive for 7 years under a waterbed by her captors. She was from up by Reading. She was there, she told her story. As many other victims were there. I'm not gonna call them victims, they were survivors. A lot of them never thought that they would be doing that job that they do, going into the prison. I thought the event was outside of the prison. It was actually all the way inside. So we were escorted inside. We sat with about 200 incarcerated men. And the whole thing was about what can the inmates do to help victims. And I have to tell you, it was very powerful. It was very emotional. I don't think I probably never be the same. I'm also a survivor, but my stories were nothing in comparison to what I heard that day from both sides. We were able to sit in groups with several of the inmates and talk to them about how we felt, what we thought, where they came from. I came home and I had a lot of time to think about it on Wednesday because kind of fast forward to start thinking about what's happening in our community. We have a lot of cases of sexual violence, domestic violence, a lot of crime here in our city. And our police department is doing a wonderful job. In fact, Many of the people that were there praised our police department and our leadership here. But we have to do more. We can't rely on just the police department to take care of everything. Going forward, we'll be creating some sort of conference probably around the first of the year to address many of these issues, and with the YWCA, Ms. Fletis, who's also works at the CTF, she actually paid for this whole program out of her own pocket because the state didn't have money to pay for it. So she paid for it for herself, for all of us to be there. Probably about 260 of us were there. But I hope that if I'm not here next year and they do invite, I hope that somebody from our council will take the time to go. Because when you start to understand that these problems, it's a circle and it just keeps going round and round and round if we don't do something about it, if we don't provide enough services, if we don't reach out to our community. So with that, I did talk to Paul and I told him that this is something that I'm really going to push for. I have about 7 months left here on the council, and it's something that I'm really going to advocate for going forward. So yeah, if you'd like to know more about it, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about all the stories I heard and what we're going to do going forward. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to start off by talking about some events that we had at Hartnell over the weekend because it affects everyone in our community. We have so many students that come into Hartnell every year. As I've shared before, I'm a huge advocate of higher education. That's what my career has been in for 22 years. And I love what I do. And this weekend it came to, it's the pinnacle that it reaches every year, where we have these freshman welcome events across our county to welcome the new incoming graduating high school seniors. So we were able to serve over 1,200 students over a 3-day period across LSL campus, King City, Soledad, and then main campus. And also about 300 of their parents came in also to the event that we have on Saturday. We offer separate workshops for the parents to talk about what having a college age student is like and the differences in financial aid and, you know, all the things that change once they're in college. So I want to congratulate everybody that is going to be graduating soon. I don't think that we're meeting before our own local high school graduation happens, but all levels of promotion. We have everything from kinder, right, to going into middle school and then going into high school. And then of course, our high school graduates. Congratulations. It's such an exciting time of the year for those of us that are in education, because we get to really see all of that hard work and dedication pay off and just, you know, be able to celebrate those accomplishments. So I want to say that congratulations, and also encourage everybody to take a moment to celebrate in a very safe manner, of course. But it's a great time of year to just stop and pause and reflect on all the hard work that it's taken to get where you all are. And that's for the families also. It takes a village to get students to succeed. And so, you know, it's a student's accomplishment, of course, but it's just a moment for the whole family to really just celebrate. So I want to start with that. And then the other thing that I have is just to also say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms, because we're not going to meet before Mother's Day again. So that's all I have today.
All right. Thank you very much. I have a few things. My wife and I attended the LULAC board meeting last Thursday night at Patriot Park. It was also a candidates night. Both the gentlemen who are running for Monterey County Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Dan Burns and Dr. Ralph Porras, were there to make a presentation and answer questions. Both candidates did a great job, and the community was well represented and asked some important questions. So I also attended the Greenfield High School Scholarship and Awards Banquet last Friday night. It was great to see the community come out and honor seniors. It was a packed house. Many thousands of dollars worth of scholarships as well as academic awards were presented. I want to remind everyone about the South County Youth Summit, which will be held in Gonzales at the new Dennis and Janice Caprara Community Center this Saturday, May the 2nd, from 10 to 2. Youth leaders from Greenfield, Soledad, and Gonzales will be represented. And if you're looking for something for your kids to do, check out the Greenfield Recreation Department website or just stop by the Patriot Park office. I know they are currently taking signups for Junior Giants program, NFL flag football, summer football and summer youth league, and a summer youth activity center, along with various other programs and events. So if you get a chance, if you're looking for something for your kids, it should be something to fit the bill. Also, I did read this afternoon that the Lake San Antonio South Shore will be closed April 30th through May the 3rd because of the Wildflower Triathlon. So, which draws thousands of people to the area. So if you're heading that way, be careful. So that's all I have for tonight. We'll move on to item I, the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved by one action of the city council unless a request for removal for discussion or explanation is received prior to time council votes on the motion to adopt. Do we have any public comments on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll come back to council. Does anybody have any questions, or if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion passes. Item J, presentations, proclamations, communications, and resolutions. Presentation by the League of Women Voters, Monterey County Ready, Set, Vote contest winners. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor White and members of the City Council. Is this working? Can people hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for granting the League of Women Voters this opportunity to command 4 creative and civic-minded students from Greenfield High School. I hope many of you have heard of the League of Women Voters. We're an organization over 100 years old. We're dedicated to empowering voters, encouraging voting, and encouraging voters to become educated. And we try to provide nonpartisan material so that people can make the decisions about what they're voting on. So I'm here tonight, Mary Ann Gawain. I'm the immediate past president of the League of Monterey County, and I'm with my colleagues, Shelley Sweet, who's the vice president of the League, and Sandy Hogue, who is our secretary. And we often have, not every year, but we often have an art contest to engage youth. Last year, we had a very successful poster contest about encouraging voting. And this year, we decided to have a video competition, asking students to create a 1-minute video, either on the theme of encouraging voting generally or encouraging other young people to pre-register, register, and vote. And so the name of that category was Ready, Set, Vote. And the grand prize winners from the whole Monterey County are our 4 students here from Greenfield High School. The team lead, it was Aaliyah Pedraza, and we have Sofia Rojas Lara, Riley Cisneros Castro, and Ashley Arteaga, who are with us this evening to accept their rewards. And I think we're going to get to see this video that they made, and we'll all enjoy it. It's just 1 minute, so cue that up. Can we give them an applause? Yeah. And you'll see that they are the plastics, and I'm wearing pink in honor of the plastics theme color. Okay, here we go.
Hi, can I sit here? That depends. Do you follow the rules? Rules? Yeah, like don't wear last year's trends, don't steal somebody's lunch seat, and definitely do not talk about politics.
Or we can talk about something that actually matters.
Leah, this is the lunch table, not the student government.
Funny you say that. Student government exists because people vote.
But I've never voted before. It seems confusing.
If everyone thought that, nobody would vote. Then a tiny group of people would decide everything, including rules that affect us.
Wait, are you saying that voting is like deciding who gets to sit at the cool people table?
Exactly, except the cool people table is the future of your rights, education, and opportunity.
If we register together, it might be less scary. Fine, but if we're doing this in style.
Deal, because on Wednesdays, we wear pink.
And on election days, we vote. Get in, loser. We're going voting.
Okay, cooperative staff member there from Greenfield High School.
Okay, great. So. That was great. Thank you very much. Certificate of recognition is hereby awarded to Sophia Rojas Lara in recognition as a grand prize winner in the Ready, Set, Vote contest sponsored by the League of Women Voters, Monterey County.
Come over here, come over here, come over here.
Aliyah Pedraza. Riley Cisneros Castro. Ashley Arteaga. Council, come down for a picture.
I'm gonna vote.
Great job, and again, congratulations. All right, we'll move to J2, a presentation by Katie Castaneda, President and CEO of United Way, Monterey County. Did I butcher that name? I am sorry.
It's Castagna. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor White, and members of the council for the opportunity to come and share a few updates with you from United Way, Monterey County. I'm here today with my colleague Calissa King, and we're going to tag team our presentation to you. So thank you for the opportunity. And I think I've got a slide deck. Yes. Are you Aaron? We met? No. Okay. I work with Aaron. Oh, there's Aaron. So somebody through email. It's fun. It's fun to see people in person. Nice to see you, Mr. Wood. Oh, on the laptop. Yeah.
Is there a microphone on? Yeah.
Just trying to get it in presentation view here. It's not the top. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Again, I'm thrilled to be here to share with you some updates from United Way Monterey County. As you may know, we are a county-wide nonprofit organization serving the community with a variety of programs and services. Our tagline and really what we're all about is we help working families move up. We connect people to resources, to information and education, to strengthen their financial security and their ability to really set their own direction in life and support their children's early learning and really try and be more upstream and prevent emergencies and crises. So United Way is involved in many different types of services that build the community infrastructure. Here you'll see a few of those examples. And this, I want to point out, we are United Way Monterey County, but we're affiliated with United Ways around the world. And all of us have a broad framework that fits these categories, but what is special about United Way is that we focus on the particular needs of our own community. So here in Monterey County, we focus on youth opportunity and specifically early childhood education. I also want to point out a few just local programs that we have here in Greenfield, and then the bulk of our presentation will be about 211 Monterey County. But as far as youth opportunity, I'm proud to report that one of our programs, the Family, Friends, and Neighbors program, we focus here in Greenfield, and this year we're serving 30 providers who are caring for 65 children. And those are unlicensed providers who are doing some of the most important work in our community, yet they don't have necessarily the support and infrastructure to be those caregivers rather than babysitters. And they are entrusted with our earliest learners and our best resource. So that's a program that is focused here in Greenfield. I'm really proud of that. We also have a preschool service corps program that provides support for language and literacy skills in preschools. We have one of our AmeriCorps members placed here at Vista Verde School. With other programs throughout the county, we do financial literacy education, free tax preparation. In the area of healthy community, we have mental health and behavioral health supports and work with providers who can be better connected and collaborate and make referrals across organizations. And then really our focus today is around the community resiliency, and in particular, our 211 Monterey County program. One of the things United Way is known for is providing that infrastructure and coordination amongst the many services that are needed. So with 211, that is a service that we founded here in Monterey County in 2009. It's actually available throughout the country and in the vast majority of California. In Monterey County, United Way is the provider and the holder of the license from the Public Utilities Commission. And for those of you who may not be familiar with it, it is like 911 for non-emergency health and human services. So it's where you call when you need something and you don't know what agency provides it. So we have live operators who will provide assistance and are working off of a common updated resource database that is available 24/7 in multiple languages. And the idea is that residents who call and get that information are then equipped with services that may match their eligibility and availability. And then they have information about how to follow up and contact that agency, their hours of operation and so forth. Also, sometimes people call and think that they want one thing, but turns out they might benefit from some other resources as well. So that's really the benefit of the live operator. Not that I'm anti-AI or technology, but we are very proud of the fact that we still have live people that answer those phones at 211. It can also be accessed online at our website, and you'll hear more about that later, and by text, and we can offer two-way text. One of the benefits of 211 is the information and data it collects and the way it reflects community needs. This is a very busy slide, but I want to just point out a couple of things. This tracks the number of calls each month over the past 7 years. And this tells a story of COVID. You'll see the medium blue bar from 2020 and 2021, and the vast spikes. The 2021 bar, you see that huge spike. That was the month that 211 was helping people get vaccination registrations. And we also launched an emergency rental assistance program, of which City of Greenfield was a great partner. So thank you for that, Paul. That was a great partnership. And so 211 over the years has been a portal for some crisis things like COVID, like disaster assistance. And you'll see it does fluctuate throughout the year as well. We tend to have more calls in the winter months, and that reflects the seasonality of our local economy. So this is, again, just a snapshot of how you can understand community need and utilization over the last few years. What you might be most interested in is really what did last year look like? And this is a tally of the calls. We're roughly 1,000 calls a month that we're serving, and the types of needs that people are calling for. So you'll see that housing, utility assistance, food and meals, legal, and income support are the top categories. The next list by taxonomy breaks it down a little bit more, so it's more specific types of services. And this is pretty typical for us. I don't think anybody needs to be surprised that housing is a top need, even though I know there's been in Greenfield, a lot of great work around housing supply, but it continues to be a pressing need really throughout our 211 network nationally. So those are the countywide stats. And then really what we'd like to do and what we're able to do is drill down, because we do ask callers certain questions about where they're calling from, not only just what they need, but we do have client demographics. So I'm gonna invite my colleague Calissa King over to talk to you specifically about what we heard from Greenfield residents.
Yeah. Oh, is this on? Is it on?
Oh,
can you guys hear me? Perfect.
Okay.
I'll just stay over here and you can drive.
Okay.
So we'll do that. But yeah, so right now let's go to the next screen and we'll dig a little bit deeper specifically into what we saw for folks reaching out from Greenfield. So I do want to highlight, we had a total of, looking at just that 2025 year, 446 contacts. So contacts are calls and texts. Primarily they are calls, but when I say text, it is that two-way texting like Katie was talking about, and that is a live person. So folks dial 211 and get us on the phone, it's a live person, but if they text in, they can text their zip code to 898-211, and so it's also counting those live back and forth. We had about 22 contacts from the Greenfield area, so that means primarily folks in Greenfield were calling us if they were reaching out to 211. That resulted in a total of 805 referrals. So you might be asking yourself, okay, we got 445, yep, right, 446 contacts, but 805 referrals. What does that mean? So that means on average, when folks are calling, they're getting more than one referral. So like Katie was talking to, that could be about one specific need. So maybe they're calling about housing, but then that results in multiple resources being provided. It could result in that they're calling about a couple of different things and then end up with a couple of different resources. Or it also could be that unmet need or that unexpressed need. So maybe they're calling about housing, but while they're talking about housing, it comes out that they lost their job. And the call center specialist at that point might recommend, hey, would you also like a referral to this agency that may be able to help with that? So I just wanted to explain that difference. And like Katie talked about, if we look then on the right-hand side, you have the top needs. So AIR's categories are these really big buckets. So that's the way I like to think about them, where then the top needs by taxonomy, slightly more to the right, that is really specific needs. So just kind of thinking about that for Greenfield and comparing it to the county, we see a lot of similarities if we're looking first at those big buckets with housing, utility assistance, food and meals. That's the same tracking between the county and Greenfield. You do then start to see some shifts. So the county had that legal and consumer and public safety services in fourth, where then the city of Greenfield has income support assistance. And you see for the county, that's actually number 5. But something I do want to call out that is unique from what I've looked at in the data, thinking about Greenfield, is in that 5th position, you have mental health and substance use related needs. And that is different when you're then looking comparative to the county. That is something really unique in the Greenfield data set. And you might be asking yourself, what does the 1 through 5 mean? It's in order of most expressed needs. So that means it was the 5th most expressed need was folks looking for resources in relation to mental health and substance use disorder. And I'll speak a little bit later on about the resources that were provided, and then also where some of the gaps may be as well. If we then shift over slightly more to the right, you have those top needs by taxonomy, and there are some differences in relation to those. The top 3 are the same, but then when you get to that 4th, the county has homeless shelters as that 4th most expressed need if we're looking across the whole county, where the city of Greenfield then would have undesignated temporary financial assistance. So folks looking for financial assistance, but not a specific water utility, for example. And then you see that low income subsidized rental housing then in the last. I do want to share a couple of just quick stats for things that we saw that were really interesting. 53% of folks who reached out from Greenfield identified themselves as first-time callers. So that means folks are hearing about 211 for the first time. It also means we have a large portion of folks who are still reaching out. And actually driving in, I saw the billboard that was speaking on Medi-Cal and our partnership we have with the county. So folks are still hearing about us, which is a great sign. 43% of folks who reached out from Greenfield received support in Spanish. And an interesting stat that I like to pair that with is we did have 62% of folks from Greenfield identify that there was a different primary language spoken in the home outside of English. And 55% of folks identified that that was Spanish. So those are interesting stats. And like Katie said, something really unique that we're able to do with our 211 calls is really get that pulse of the community of maybe what are real-time stats, but also what are folks looking for. So I'd like to now transition into the next section. And I'm sorry that that font is a little bit small for folks in the room. What this is looking at the referrals and the top agencies and programs that folks got referred to. So looking specifically at Greenfield, you'll see number 1, and then we'll look at number 3. Both of those are programs facilitated by Central Coast Energy Services. So folks really looking for that utility assistance. Number 2, folks looking for that food assistance. And of course, thinking about the context of 2025, we did have that pause in CalFresh benefits too. So I just want to say that that might be impacting the data. We then see in number 4, which I thought this was really interesting. A lot of folks looking for family resource centers. This one is specific to Soledad, which is a really interesting nuance to the data. And I did go back and look specific to Greenfield's Family Resource Center, and there were referrals to that as well. But Soledad did have a higher number. So it might be where folks are choosing to have their students enrolled in schools, maybe where they're working, but I thought that was very interesting. And then you'll also then see in that last one, self-sufficiency grant by Modest Needs. This is a national organization. So most of our resources in our 211 directory are local to Monterey County, but we do have state and national resources. So this is one that was included because there isn't a lot of resources that are meeting that temporary unrestricted financial assistance for emergencies that folks may have in their personal life. So I just wanted to highlight that. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. And apologies, this is still very small because there's a lot of good information on here. So I'd invite folks to look at it after as well. And this is specifically then parsing out the unmet needs. So unmet needs, like Katie also mentioned, when folks call us, they're looking for maybe a very specific resource. They might be looking for a very specific resource in a very specific way, right? So maybe they're looking for transportation support, but they would only like a gas card, for example, right? That's just a piece of how folks receive services. So needs may go unmet or they might be partially met. What I did here was I did the data for our unmet needs here in Greenfield, and we had 162 needs that were unmet. The largest of those being rent assistance, as you'll see noted. And I went ahead and also then drilled down a little bit deeper to see why was that need unmet based on how the call specialist flagged the call of that need not being met. And so you'll see that no available program was the primary need for, or the primary reason why that rental assistance need was not being met. And second, you then have water service payment assistance. So folks really looking for that support, 20 unmet needs for that. And then that undesignated temporary financial assistance. So that is something, and it is a very big bucket of folks that might be looking for their own emergencies to help support bills or other types of costs. And we had 10 of those unmet needs. But I do want to flag, because you might be thinking back, Calissa, what about that slide that you just showed where that was the 5th most referred to resource? That specific resource we chose to make inactive in our database. So some folks may have received support through that, but it still is a huge need in this part of the community. So we can go ahead and go to our next slide. A big highlight that I want to just emphasize very briefly is our 211 Monterey County website. At the end of 2025, we did a complete refresh. It is cleaned up. Our searching tools are even more enhanced and able to connect folks even quicker to resources. This is something I'm personally really excited about, and it really expands the way we're able to serve folks. Over the years, I've been in my position since June of 2020. We've seen a big increase of folks preferring to search for resources on their own. So what our website does is it takes all those incredible resources in our directory and it makes it publicly available. So folks at any time can just go on and search. And so depending on their preferences and or maybe even personal safety, might choose to look for resources on their own using the website. We've enhanced a lot of the features. Katie, if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide, including even opportunities to download your own outreach material. But another feature I really love is folks can make their own resource list. So if they're on there, they're liking different resources, maybe want to then follow up, they can click a like button and then be able to either email it or print it out for themselves. So that's something we didn't have in our old website. And I heard from service providers and residents would be really useful. So I'm really glad that we're able to bring that as an additional tool to the community. And I think we'll move on. We're now going to be talking a little bit about one of our special projects in funding. So let's just do a quick transition to that special project. So through a collaboration that we have, and I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of this because it's incredible resource, especially as we know wildfire season is approaching and things are going to get hot. We have an incredible partnership through 211 California and PG&E, where we're able to provide supports during public safety power shutoff, so PSPS events. What this entails is for folks who are part of our AFN community, so access and functional needs community, they can reach out to 211 to get screened and then create a whole safety plan about what they would need during power shutoffs in order to remain safe. Our 211 specialists are then trying to connect them to those resources ahead of time. But then when we are activated by PG&E, we can provide completely free supports to those residents during disaster. So folks, I know you might be thinking like an electric wheelchair perhaps, or even like a CPAP machine, but even things like a specific diet or using insulin that needs to be refrigerated, things like that could qualify as well. So we invite folks who think that they may qualify to just dial 211. We also do have a link on the PowerPoint where you can make an appointment online, but calling 211, you can call us to make an appointment. We'll do that screening. If someone is eligible, create that safety plan. And then during shutoffs, residents can reach out to us, or we'll actually be proactively reaching out to them as well if they've kind of gotten into our list and gotten enrolled, so that we're able to provide those supports to ensure that everyone remains safe. And I'll transition back over to Katie for the end of the presentation.
Thanks, Calissa. So 211 is free to the caller, but it is not free to produce. So we've been very successful in a collective funding strategy. We have many different partners who have funded and continue to fund 211, including our healthcare institutions, many local private organizations, our utilities and foundations, as well as our individual donors, and then really strong participation from the government. Both the county social services and health department have been long supporters, as well as the vast majority of our cities. And I want to thank the city of Greenfield for past support and request that you consider continuing to support 211. And want to make sure that you and all of your residents know the resource that's available through that and keep on calling. So with that, happy to reach out. I also, one other thing, just back to the resources, and for anybody here or watching to know if there's a service or a program that is not in 211, we can add that instantly. So it's really a living database. And so services come and go, and we work at great lengths to keep it up to date, and that can be done at any time. So please contact us if you have any questions about the service or particular resources. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any question from council?
Well, that was an excellent presentation, very thorough.
Great. Thank you very, very much for your presentation. Appreciate all the information.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll move to item K, public hearing. Introduction and first reading of an ordinance of the City Council, City of Greenfield, to adopt the 2025 California Building Construction Codes and California Fire Code. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor White, Council. I'm Mark Myers. I'm your building official for the city of Greenfield. We're introducing tonight a adoption of, or first reading and adoption of the California Building Code standards and the codes that we need specifically for Greenfield. The California Building Standards Commission adopts and publishes the California Building Standards Code as Title 24 of the Code of Regulations. The code is revised on a 3-year cycle and must be adopted by local jurisdictions to enforceable fully. And that's due to the fact there are amendments and other codes that we need to add in to make them complete. The Building Standard Code consists of multiple parts addressing building design, construction systems, fire protection, energy efficiency, green building practices, and related technical standards. Local jurisdictions may adopt local amendments to the state codes when supported by findings that such amendments are necessary due to local climatic, geological, or topographical conditions. Recommendations. Staff recommends that the City Council introduce and conduct the first reading of an ordinance adopting the latest edition of the California Building Standards Code, including the following codes by reference. Part 1, California Administrative Code. Part 2, California Building Code. Part 2.5, California Residential Code. Part 3, California Electrical Code. Part 4, California Mechanical Code. Part 5, California Plumbing Code. Part 6, California Energy Code. Part 7, California Wildland Urban Interface Code. Part 8, California Historical Building Code. Part 9, California Fire Code. Part 10, California Existing Building Code. Part 11, California Green Building Standards Code, Cal Green. And Part 12, California Reference Standards Code. We need to also schedule a second reading and adoption of the ordinance in the next City Council meeting. In summary, the state of California updates the California Building Standards Code, Title 24, every 3 years. These standards establish statewide regulations governing the design, construction, alteration, and maintenance of buildings and structures to protect public health, safety, and welfare. The 2025 California Building Standards Codes becomes effective statewide on January 1st, 2026, unless a local jurisdiction adopts and amends the code earlier through an ordinance. Adoption of the updated code ensures that the city remains consistent with state law, maintains current standards for structural safety, fire protection, energy efficiency, accessibility, and sustainability. Environmental review. The adoption of the California Building Standard Code is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. Under CEQA guidelines, section 15061B3, because the adoption of the regulatory standards will not result in a direct or reasonably foreseeable physical change in the environment. There is no direct fiscal impact associated with adoption of the updated codes. Implementation will occur through the existing building permit and planning review process. Attached is a draft ordinance, and the proposed motion includes staff respectfully recommends that the City Council introduce and read by title only the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Greenfield to adopt the 2025 California Building and Construction Codes and the California Fire Codes.
All
And
right,
if you
thank
have
very
any
much.
questions, I'll be happy to try and respond.
All right, thank you. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing on item K1. Hearing is open. Does anybody have any comments? Don't everybody rush. All right, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Bring it back to City Council comments and review.
Is there a motion to be made on this, or it's just?
There is a motion.
Yeah, and
I see it here, but just because on here, it just says,
yeah,
it says it different on the agenda, so I just wanted
Oh,
to ask.
right. The building official read the recommended motion, so you could just say, I move to approve the recommended motion, or, yeah,
If
recommendation.
there are no questions from anyone else, then I move to approve the recommended motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you very much.
You have one other item you have to do tonight as well, and that is to set the second reading.
Correct.
And the record just needs to show the date.
I understand it's the next city council meeting, so May 12th?
All right. Set that at May 12th for the second reading.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move to item L1, adoption of a resolution of the City Council, City of Greenfield approving the garbage collection, disposal, and recycling rates for fiscal year 2026-27. Staff report, please.
Microphone.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
All right.
Slide it a little closer to you even if you want. There you go.
I'm going to try to bring up the presentation. And here it is. Right. My name is Elia. I'm with Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority. I'm usually here once or twice a year. So I'm here today to bring forward the rates proposed by Tri-Cities Disposal for fiscal year 26-27. Tri-Cities is now wrapping up their first year under their new contract. And there's a contractual CPI adjustment in the contract that would be effective every July 1st. So the proposed rates do include a 3.73% CPI increase for Tri-Cities. And then also, just as a reminder, their Tri-City collects also the pass-through adjustments for Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority for their disposal and diversion processing components. The City of Greenfield also receives a franchise fee. So all of that is incorporated in Tri-Cities rate adjustment that would be effective July 1st. So on the screen is just an example of the 48-gallon cart for a residential customer and how the increases are reflected for each of the different components. So there's the 3.73 CPI index is an overall 1.81% of the total cost that's increasing. And Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority's pass-through adjustments are a 1.05% and a incremental automatic adjustment to the city's franchise fee is 0.55%. And then here are just some other examples of what the different common customer rate service levels and how the proposed adjustments impact these rates. For example, a 48-gallon cart goes from $41.99 to $43.42 and so forth. This is pretty much a contractual adjustment that is required, or this is entitled, the Tri-Cities is entitled to. So this is a formal presentation where we advise that as your contract administrators, we have reviewed the proposal and find it correct. And we have shared it with the city. The city has reviewed it as well and find it correct as well. So it's before you as a city council to review and also formally adopt the rates. Right. And Tom Perola is here with Tri-Cities as well. And Mandy Brooks is online, our manager for Solid Waste Authority, if you have any questions.
All right. I'll go ahead and open this up for public comments. I see no public comments, so we'll bring it back to council for review and action. Do we have any questions or comments? So I see the bottom one is like the normal container is like $1.43 increase. And like you said, it is per prior agreed to contractual obligation.
Yes, we will be here every year around this time. We will receive the proposed package from Tri-Cities and we'll review their math and their formulas and make sure that their increases are only what's allowed per contract.
Okay. Any other questions?
No questions. I just move to adopt.
I need a second.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move to item L2, adoption of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Greenfield approving amendment number 2 to the professional services agreement with Hydroscience Engineers in a not to exceed amount of $1,616,726 and appropriate supplemental funds as required for the new wastewater treatment plant design services and related improvements, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute this agreement amendment. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So the city retained the services of Hydroscience Engineers to complete the design of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade at the October 11th, 2022 City Council meeting via Resolution 2022-94. Hydroscience has completed the preliminary design report, which identified additional altered and removed facilities that changed the project scope from the additional agreement. Hydroscience completed the 90% construction plans in October of 2024. Following this milestone, the city was uncertain whether funding from the state would be awarded. May I announce that? I'm going to interrupt my staff report because it's a perfect time to say that we were uncertain at that time. And today we received the fully executed funding agreement from the state to build the wastewater treatment plant.
Woo.
So now my staff report, as of the day it was written, is now incorrect, but it says now that the city has a draft, but we actually have the funding agreement. These original task budgets need to be replenished for the other efforts. Additional task budgets are in need of further funding due to a long pause from when the 90% plans were complete. These items include re-engaging with PG&E permitting to coordinate temporary and permanent new services, completing the fiscal sustainability plan, which has already been done, and also the detailed design. 100% draft PS&E for city review, which includes staff comments from the 90% plans, as well as the front end and technical specifications, and then the stamped bid set plans specifications. We're going to get together for a page turn meeting so that we can go through and gather comments together. Those will then become the changes in the bid set. And also a cost escalation for engineering services during the bidding and construction phases, because the original rates are from 2022. Project management will be extended through 2029 as the project moves through the design, bidding, and construction phases. Amendment number 2 will also extend the contract date to no later than September 1st, 2030. This is beyond the construction completion date and accounts for completing as-built plans and et cetera. So the budget and the financial impact, I know that's very important. The discussion on the state funding, we'll just change the verbiage right now to say we have the agreement. So this is good news. The city has budgeted for upfront planning, environmental and design costs because these steps are needed to affirm budgets and schedule. This is true for the state funding agreement and any alternative funding strategy. Costs will be recovered from the state revolving fund and through the reimbursement process now that we have a funding agreement. That feels so good to
You
say.
like saying that.
I do. I'm so happy for the residents here. This is amazing. So the design services contract amendment, the preliminary design process resulted in changes and additions in the scope of services. Sorry, I'm just so excited. I can't help it. So the changes, like I said, they include replenishing the existing tax budgets from October of 2024 through January of 2026, when we did kind of a pause. We used the existing budgets to do other items, and that's an amount of $338,000 and change. Or sorry, 33,000 and change. We
Yeah,
had
that
to,
number is correct, so.
yeah, I see the commas in the incorrect spot. We had to draft a fiscal sustainability plan. We had original PG&E permitting support, part of the detailed design. And for the 100% draft PS&E, we're making quite a few changes. And then again, we'll be incorporating all of our meeting notes into getting a bid set. Engineering services during the bidding phases and construction phases, and extended project management. So this requested increase is for not to exceed a price of $1,616,726 with a final design contract total of $6,428,200 $228. This would be amendment number 2. Additional details are in the attachment provided, and the staff reviewed the request and recommends approval. We will need to do a supplemental appropriation of a portion of this funding this year because we're trying to get the 100% plans and specs done before the end of the fiscal year. And that amount would be $1,143,336 from the wastewater enterprise fund. Again, we will be getting that reimbursed. So I've actually created some a slideshow here just to give a little bit of a more of a breakdown of what's going on. If we could share that screen. Okay. So this is really going over this. It's kind of a summary of the staff report. The Hydrosciences original contract was executed in October of 22, and the billing rates during that contract were only included through 2023. The contract completion date in the original contract is December 31st of 2027. We know that that's changing. And the original amount was $4,185,566. We did already have a contract amendment, number 1, for additional scope during preliminary design report development and the detailed design at that time. And we also had them complete a Title 22 engineering report, and we had additional project management and QA/QC, and that was approved for $625,936. So after that amendment, the contract was at $811,502. This amendment, which is amendment number 2, again, we're asking for $1,616,723 to replenish established budget for work completed from October 2024 through January 2026, while waiting information regarding the financing, because we were in that state of unknown. We also need to re-engage with PG&E permitting to coordinate temporary and new service connections. It's almost like starting over. And then it covers additional elements proposed for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade that were not in the original scope, and allows for the updated billing rates and cost escalation all the way through 2029 and continued support during bidding and construction phases. Additional elements that were not in the original scope, we had to have additional FEMA coordination and CLOMAR support. That was to get our plant out of the floodplain. Support during the 2025 sewer rate study. Hydroscience was a key player during that time in helping to get that report to council. And ongoing state water revolving fund support with the Department of Finance, and drafting the fiscal sustainability plan. They also prepared options for phasing of the project and value engineering of the project when we were in that unknown period of how much money we might be able to be granted and loaned. We also had them connect analysis of options related to improving the existing treatment system and current plant conditions, and ongoing coordination project meetings. Detailed design, now is the preparation of the 100% draft plans and specifications. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a page turn meeting. I mean, we're talking hundreds of pages of plans and specs. We're thinking it's going to be 1 to 2 days held with the city to review and provide comments so we can get a really, really solid upfront set of plans and specs. I know that's been a request of council. Let's limit the change orders. And then after that, they'll put all those together into a stamped bid set to incorporate the comments from the page turn meeting, and that set will then go out to bid. They're also, again, updating billing rates and cost escalation through 2029. Just a reminder, their original contract provided billing rates from 2022. Cost escalation is phased for each year during the bidding phase, construction phase, and continued project management. In summary, the original contract amount was for $4,185,566. The first amendment amended the contract to a total of $4,811,502. And with this proposed amendment number 2 that we're requesting for council to approve, their new contract through 2029 would be $6,428,225. And I'd like to entertain any questions. I'm sure there's a few.
Let's go ahead and open up for public comment. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. Well, so it begins.
So it begins. Today is the day.
We received it, approval today, and we're starting to spend it today. So a lot of money, but we've got to move forward and get the process started. So
And it's being reimbursed. So that
Yes, this'll
amount.
be-
Yes.
Right.
So if there's no other questions from council, then I would move to adopt.
I need a second. Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. And congratulations to the residents of the city of Greenfield on this really huge accomplishment to get this funding agreement for our new wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you very much for all your hard work on that. All right, we'll move to brief reports on conferences, seminars, and meetings attended by mayor and city council. League of California Cities.
I have mine from the environmental quality
Go right ahead.
policy committee meeting that I attended. There was a meeting in Costa Mesa, March 27th. At that meeting, we reviewed 5 different bills. We adopted a position of watch on 3, support on the other 2. And I can provide the report of the details to Anne so that can be available to everybody, but it is it's a lot. It's a long read. We received an overview on the California Global Biodiversity Alliance. And that presentation really focused on an overview of the California Global Biodiversity Alliance and the role cities play in advancing biodiversity goals. The presenters really highlighted the importance of biodiversity in supporting public health, climate resilience, environmental justice, and social economies. They emphasized local governments are already advancing biodiversity through planning, parks, restoration efforts, and climate initiatives, and discuss how these actions align with statewide and global efforts, including the initiatives that the Global Biodiversity Framework advocates for. And our next meeting is going to be a virtual one in June 5th, I believe. And so I will be attending that one as well to close out this year's policy committee commitments.
All right. Thank you very much. TAMSI, we met last Wednesday. The most important item for Greenville was a report on the Highway 101 south of Salinas project. This is a multi-year project for reconstruction of the highway and with overpasses and frontage roads from Salinas to Schular. The first phase of the construction will be starting this fall with the closing of the left turn lanes in order to improve traffic safety. So expect delays starting in the fall and probably for off and on for several years there. So that's a big one. Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments.
We haven't had a meeting. They haven't scheduled for next month, so we'll see. Cancel them all the time.
All right, Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority.
Thank you. Circular Services came and did a presentation regarding the composting program and just did an update. The main points, because it was a long presentation, but the main points were that there's facility improvements. There's a big concrete pad that's been constructed, and it looks from a distance, it looks like just a huge cement block, but it's really used. It has waste where they put the organic waste, and it has holes, and it has a fire, and the holes is to get the heat to go in there and to bring up the heat and burn that organic waste. It's incredible what it is, but it looks so simple. But why don't you go visit it, because it's too complicated. But it's really interesting to see what the old one looked like and what they're doing now. There was also a discussion or presentation on contamination. We've done a better job as a whole, the valley as a whole, with our contamination, but there's still people who, think it's maybe too much work to clean out your pet food cans, for example, and, why waste my time? I'll just throw it in the garbage as opposed to just take a little time to clean them up and put them in the recycle, because there's somebody that is we are going to be spending money on sorting that out. So the intention is to have that blue can, the brown can, the green can. If every residential place did their part, then it would be less contamination that's happening on the other end. And that contamination doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but in order for the compost to work, that means people coming to buy it, it has to pass, so if we do a better job, the compost is better and people will buy it, and therefore it just works and pays for itself. Yes. And also to remember that residents, sometimes we have giveaways, but residents can go and buy it at a very discounted price, as opposed to if you're not from our valley, even if you're a farmer or whatever, you can go and buy some at a discount. And then we also had a little presentation understanding that why bio bags and compostables are not working, because maybe somewhere in some parts of the world, there are standards that people can burn. And for example, it takes heat, and heat produces fumes and gases. And maybe in other countries, they're not as strict with their laws about the gases and fumes that can go into the air, where we are, especially in our valley. So there are things that cannot go into our compost, because those green little plastic bags that you see at your store where you put your groceries in, it takes a great amount of heat for it to be able to be good for organic waste compost. We do not raise our heat that high, because otherwise then we would have emissions of gases, and then there's another problem. So there still has to be some dialogue happening with the people, I'm just going to call them people, who create these bags. And first of all, you make them green, and then you use the word compostable on them. And so the labeling on it is not really truthful to, I would even say California, but especially our valley. If you see the word compost and it's green, oh, I can use this little green bag. You could, and you will, but if you do, then use it and throw it away as regular garbage. Do not put it into your recycles or to your organic green waste, the yard waste. Yeah. So that was our main thing, is the compost. That's it. Thank you.
Very good. Monterey Salinas Transit.
We had our April meeting. We amended some contracts relating to the additional design services for the Surf Busway and Rapid Transit project, as well as the 90 sports bike racks that were purchased. So we approved some additional funding for that. Appointed a member to the Measure Q Oversight Committee for a new 3-year term. And we adopted a revised MST zero tolerance drug and anti-drug use, anti-alcohol policy. It's something that they realized that they didn't have, and it's kind of surprising that that one didn't exist. Yeah. So we kind of corrected that, and we adopted a new policy. And our next meeting is scheduled for May 11th.
Very good. South Salinas Valley Broadband Authority.
No, they canceled.
Okay. Monterey County Mayors Association. Our meeting this month was canceled because it happened to land on Good Friday. We will meet this Friday, at noon in Soledad. We'll be hearing from a presentation from Nancy Valdez, who is with Relay for Life. So that's this Friday at lunch. San Valley Mayors and Managers Group. We met yesterday in Gonzales. We had a presentation from Mr. Chris Devers, who is the CEO of Rancho Cielo. The South County cities were looking into getting some job training classes in South County. A drone training class was proposed as a good starting point. I'll bring back more information, as it develops. Anything additional, Paul? on that one? We talked about that was the main topic, pretty much all. The topic. All right, Planning Commission.
They will meet next week.
All right. Not doing a closed session, so city attorney report,
I have nothing to report.
city manager report.
Nothing more to report. My thunder was stolen, which is okay. Good job, Gene.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Meeting is adjourned.